Yes.
Eric, how's it going, man?
Oh,
Good?
good
Surprise, another episode.
surprise.
Friends, I don't always tell Eric when we're starting, mainly because I have the focus of a gnat. So it's almost like we'll be talking about something else and then I'm just like, episode go. And I can't explain it other than that.
And actually, I'm really good about manifesting or showing up in a corporal essence of solid essence.
Yeah.
If he says the right things, if he says the right words, I materialize.
Yeah, you catch it fast. It's like you were born to do it. It's like the good kind of manifest destiny.
Wait, the other way. I don't know what you did.
Gotcha. Oh my goodness. I missed you, man.
Oh man, yeah.
I've been gone for 4 days.
Oh, it's only been 4 days?
Eric and I are good friends, though. It feels like a long time.
It does feel like a long
We hang
time.
out all the time, so it's like, it feels like a week or two.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So this poem, let's dive in.
Okay.
This one's heavy and helpful at the same time. It's called On My Way to Hell. And it's not about me personally going to hell for eternity or this, terrible decline of my character. It's about me living in a world that I'm ultimately learning I can't save or change on the level I want to, and how to find redemption still inside of that.
I thought it was about you just checking it out like you would like colleges.
No. That's funny. The things, this is heavy, but I'll just dive in. Okay.
Yeah.
The things I worry about as a parent of a 10-year-old and a 2-year-old are so much different than the things I worry about for myself, right?
Yeah.
Like when I look at the world, I'm worried there's going to be fights over just being able to drink water by the time my kid should be having a career.
Yeah.
And I hope I'm wrong. I really do.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that the politicians supposedly making policies are just making it up as they go along, because the problems of overpopulation and sustainability are catching up to us. And it's kind of like, it's kind of like getting real. And, or as Michael Scott wrote in his famous play, it's threat level midnight. And
Level midnight.
that's right, Michael Scarn.
I love that.
But it's about watching things happen in the world that I have no power to control,
Right.
but seeing where it ultimately leads is not good, and not being able to stop it, and engaging with, well, what does my faith do now? What do I do as a person of faith when by rights it looks like evil's winning or nothing's going right?
Yeah.
And, so all of the imagery of realizing this is mixed in with what I think's wrong with the world. And what I think's, fundamentally wrong with the world, I would name theologically or as a Christian as sin and greed. Like any economic system is ultimately ruined by people being fine, taking too much and watching other people starve and not make it.
And not, yeah.
One of my famous recording artists in the world is MIA, and she's now like a 50-year-old woman and just put out, I think, one of the best albums of the year.
Oh, wow.
It's really good.
Yeah.
But she has said over and over again, what my music's about is how shocked I am at how people can treat each other and be okay with it.
Yeah, and be okay with it, yes.
And I feel like in our world, the way that manifests itself is the wealth gap between people who are crushing it with multi-millions of dollars and people that just can't survive every month. Like their budget is scary every month. That gap is growing and growing and growing. It's
Yeah.
getting so wide that you can't like see across it or bridge it.
Right.
And MIA was just interviewed by Zane Lowe the other about a month or two ago.
Yeah.
And she basically said like all of these dreams of wealth and opulence aren't sustainable. Everyone can't afford to ride around in a private jet and throw parties and rent a yacht and like the kinds of things that the ultra rich are doing. The world can't afford them. And so all of the imagery of the world like not making it is put in terms for me of capitalism, consumerism, and greed, and not fundamentally taking care of the population when we have a giant overpopulation problem that's ultimately caused by capitalist surplus.
Right.
And so the tail wags the dog in a giant system of corruption and inevitability unless we get some answers fast.
Right. You know, I think what we need is some ultra rich people to build a rocket and take some of the other rich people to another planet to ruin. Whoops.
Wasn't that a Matt Damon movie?
Sorry. Oh, yeah, it was.
Well, they're already building penis-shaped rockets, so I mean,
Did he say that out loud?
yeah.
Check.
Does that give this show an explicit box for YouTube?
I think it does.
Surprise. Yeah, so I basically say, though, a very real moment from like, I was talking with my therapist, Pete, and Pete was like, what's the real problem that you see? You're constantly saying the world has problems. What is the problem? And that's why it says, call my therapist, tell him I've got the gist of what's under the hood. I finally said it. I can't say, what I've said is I can't save myself from where the world's headed. There aren't enough resources for the way the ultra rich are living.
It's not, right.
And my kids are going to watch, honestly, wars over resources unless we do something.
Right.
And
right.
then I took the imagery of like how that feels, and I basically say, the reduce, reuse, recycle Band-Aid on my heart can't stop the blood flow of the gash clear across a chamber. Like basically it's a mortal wound across the whole heart of the world. And if you did reduce, reuse, and recycle every bottle, they would just stash it on a boat to China and get rid of it in ways that hurt the environment, which was actually happening in this country.
Right.
All of the bottles and cans, we thought we were being responsible and recycling. Captain America was shipping to China to get burned and to make the environment even more, I don't know, in peril.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm really angry about stuff like that. And I really don't think we can save ourselves from that process unless we ultimately address the greed. And that's so why later in the poem I say there's no redemption without repentance.
Yeah.
If we're not even sorry for the way that we're hurting people and hurting the land with no accountability, there's not redemption from that. Sorry.
Yeah.
At least not in the here and now.
Right.
You can hope for the hereafter, but to me that's the lamest thing that faith does.
See how you really feel, Mark.
And so I have
No, you're right.
And so,
you're right.
And so in the poem, I have this conversation with Jesus, and I borrow from the book of John where it says, basically, we've seen God walk among us. This is what he was like. He was full of grace and full of truth. What are the gracious ways and the truthful ways that Jesus might address what we're doing to each other and what we're doing to the house of the world? Grace, Mark, Eric, people trying to do the right thing. You did what you could, and I know you wanted to save the world.
Yeah.
Like I see that. I see that there are people that long for righteousness and truth. This is a mission impossible bid for greedy men who don't want it to be saved.
Right.
Like the people calling the ultimate shots in politics are supported by the very companies that are raping the earth. And that's who you vote for. Is this politician supported by Target or this politician supported by Shell, because corporations are people and so the mess continues, right?
They are?
Yeah, absolutely they are. And
All right.
And so what I ultimately say is these folks that run these companies that make ultra wealth for themselves, they want what they have marketed to the younger generation more than a world without hunger, which is possible, by the way.
Yeah.
They don't want the world to be saved. They don't want everyone to have drinking water and health care. One of my heroes, Dr. Paul Farmer, is a medical doctor who is specialized in infectious diseases, and he bounces between rich East Coast elites in the medical world and places like Haiti trying to eradicate tuberculosis. And he says that the knowledge and the methodologies and the science is there to eradicate infectious disease, at least like tuberculosis, from the poor, but that's not what the rich actually want.
Yeah.
And the new war on the poor is healthcare.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm sorry to say, but what the people calling a lot of the shots ultimately want is not for everything to get better, because that doesn't pay.
It doesn't.
That takes an investment of your money and your soul and your whole life essence to decide to fix what's broken. And you know what? That costs. It doesn't pay. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, there's some things that I think we shouldn't look at them as trying to make money.
Yeah.
Because you can't make money
Yeah.
and have something that helps somebody, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no money in that. But I mean, there's no immediate money.
Right.
But there is later. If I invest in you, I'll see that back, maybe not personally, but within the world, which helps me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. The reward is that we get a better world, and we get a world that can still work for our kids and our kids' kids. Like, what is the price on that?
Right.
On your deathbed, if you looked at one of your grandkids in the eye and like you knew you could have thrown your whole self into making a beautiful house of the world for them, and you didn't, what would you pay? What amount of money would you pay to go back and do right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I mean, you can
Heavy
just
stuff.
hear it. Just, drive past the school when kids are out playing. I mean, hear that infectious laugh and giggle, and it's just loose. And they shouldn't have to worry about this crap that we're dealing with. This is ridiculous.
It is.
Especially when it doesn't have to be.
No.
Right?
No, you're right. It doesn't have to be. That's how the poem ends, though. It's not with hope. It's with the reality that it didn't have to be this way, but that seems like how it's going.
Yeah.
And so, Jesus and I Drink a Cold One. One of my favorite lines in modern punk rock is when Green Day is singing in, I think this song is Suburban Jesus. That might be the song. I'm not exactly sure. It's on the album American Idiot.
Idiot. Yeah.
Those of you that watch us on YouTubers, I'll put the song title up in the little captions, the smart-ass remarks that I write. But basically, they're talking about how a whole lot of people are talking about the church and whether it's succeeding or failing, but Jesus isn't interested. He's not listening to a word. He'd rather be doing something else, like cigarettes and coffee with the underbelly. And to me, the most beautiful thing about Jesus is he's not attracted to the wealth and the cleanliness and the fast cars and the expensive yachts and the all of the ways that the super rich are investing in their images. He's not impressed with that at all. Like he represents in the Jesus tradition the God that would rather be with the poor.
Yeah.
Who have a pure heart. Not that every poor person's good or every rich person's bad. It's not what I'm saying. But I like the idea that, like, look, I'm not a big deal. I've never been able to make millions and millions of dollars. I'm never going to be famous. I'm probably just going to be an angry hobbit for most of my life. But I like the idea that Jesus took the time to kick back a cold one with me and watch the sunset on the world.
Exactly. That's fantastic.
And so that's what I say, like,
yes.
that's what saves me, to have that kind of friend on my way to hell.
Yeah.
So, like, if the whole world is going to hell, it means a lot to me that Jesus saw me worthwhile enough to sit with.
To hang out, yeah. Before it's all over.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
I like it.
I like it, and I think, okay, if I got to be totally selfish and the end of the world was coming, say we knew an asteroid was going to, like, hit this planet, and I didn't have to think about my kids, because of course that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Whatever I could to make it easier on them or to ease the burden. If I got to just be selfish, I'd drink a cold one with my best friends.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Right. Exactly.
As the world ended.
As the world ended.
You know?
Yeah.
And, so that's what the poem is about. It's heavy, but it's because I think there's still hope.
Yeah.
It's meant to shock people awake, and it's meant to shock them out of systems of religion that just claim it's all about going to heaven when you die or what happens after this world. To me, the entire tradition of biblical literature speaks to the fact that this world matters, that this world is the redemption project that God actually cares about, and all the imagery are about people partnering with God to fix this place here and now. And so I don't even like care about the discussion of what happens when we die or where we go.
Right.
That's interesting for speculation, but to me,
But it does nothing as far as what's happening.
Show me.
Feeding kids and making sure that they can go to the hospital or whatever it is. Yeah.
Show me what your faith is doing to make it a better world, and I will show you the value of your faith.
There you go.
Or whether it does not have value.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I was taught to grow up and save the world, but I can't save myself from where the world is headed. Call up my therapist, tell him I got the gist of what's under the hood. I finally said it. The reduce, reuse, and recycle Band-Aid on my heart cannot stop the blood flow of a gash clear across a chamber. And if I were to start turning in every bottle, they would just stash them all on a boat headed to China on the sneak and smoke them into the sky as they watch the field burn, or shove them into the ground in an undoable soil churn, or toss them into the smog dark sea with no plan to rescue me or any of you. Monsters snatch without even a peek at consequences long term. A desire vampire draining your blood blue, just so long as Captain Crusader, corporate at Vanguard, saw shares remain steady, listening to regulators. Warren G. and Buffett alike are heady, neither needs a calculator to do the math. The plan's marred. With layers of problems and capitalist killers somehow overhunting the population that has an overpopulation problem, Christ would look at this mess and into my eyes full of grace and truth. Grace, you did what you could, and I know you wanted to save the world, kid. And truth, this is a mission impossible bid for greedy men who don't want it to be saved. They want to crucify it, string it up in front of every poor person in the street and say what's up, so they only meet people without hope who pay. They want what they've marketed to the younger generation, more than a world without hunger and potable water. And so, sorry, my son, I know how the story looks when it's done. And without repentance, there's no redemption. At least in the holy book where I'm coming from. And so, Jesus and I drink a cold one and stare off into the setting sun of everyone who ever found themselves stuck in a spaghetti western shit show that ends in tragedy. Just him and me And ever so quietly, it saved me to have such a true friend on my way to hell. Great. Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Shoot. Bow, bow. Do it over.
That's awesome. That's great.
Oh my goodness. You got to be down with the steel too, if you know what I mean. Regulators.
Regulators.
Mount up.
Mount up.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think you can compare someone to Steph Curry just because they don't trip.
Just because they
You know
don't
what I mean?
trip.
He does like basketball gymnastics, and all I did was not trip on that court.
But this is your court. This is your stage.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah, I bet he would have tripped over that and fell
No,
right into the drum set.
I need more Eric in my shot, anyways. No one's ever argued that my stage should be a basketball court. I will say that. That's funny. I'm a better passer.
Oh, and wait a minute. There's a guy with the Lakers. Oh, I told you that. They're starting to let him loose a little bit. Little
short guy?
short white guy. Oh,
I
he
like how
hit
you
some.
said it. They're starting to let him loose a little bit.
Well, they,
Little fella.
the little fella. Oh man, he hit some nice threes, and he's he's gonna be something.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. All right. Are we?
Little people can do big things too.
Little people can do, and it's even bigger.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, man, ready?
Ready. Okay.
This one's somber, Eric.
Yes, it is.
All right. I wasn't animated enough last time, anyways.
You weren't?
I was still trying to remember how it went.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Remember when Mark Maron did that at the show we saw?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Okay. I was taught to grow up and save the world, but I can't save myself from where the world is headed